iron from nothing. A true story of strength beyond poverty. The night the space heater died, Maya stacked two hoodies, tucked her son under a borrowed quilt, and stared at the orange eviction notice like a countdown. At the clinic that afternoon, the nurse said pre-diabetic and blood pressure rising, then handed her a pamphlet she couldn't afford to follow. At the food pantry, she saw a flyer for a free community 5K, and laughed running felt as distant as vacation. Back home, she tore a receipt and wrote one sentence: I am training to be strong and calm, so I can carry groceries up to flights without stopping. She taped it to the mirror because rent and Dow both shout louder than promises. No new gear, no subscription, no magic, just a sentence, a calendar, and a stubborn idea. Build a body that can carry a life, even when the wallet can't. If she could train under pressure, she could lift the pressure. Tomorrow wouldn't have extra hours or money, but it could have 10 minutes. And 10 minutes could be enough to start a system that didn't break on bad days. She folded bus schedules into a paper planner and traced 3 empty squares for training like windows she could still open. She counted coins in a jelly jar labeled shoes and decided that until the jar was full, tap water and tenacity would be her pre-work. Every time fear tried to bargain, she answered with the sentence on the mirror and the simplest question: what can I do with what I have today? Day 1 was not a montage. It was a park bench under a streetlight. She set a timer and started. 10 bench sit, 8 countertop push-ups on cold metal, 10 backpack rows with a sack of rice, a slow 30-second wall sit, and a 40-second plank on cracked pavement. 2 reps in reserve. Always. Warm-up was 5 minutes of brisk walking, shoulders down, jaw unclenched. She filmed one set on a scratched phone and fixed Q's ribs down, hips back. Her shoes were thrift store orphans, and her weights were water jugs. Her gym was a stairwell that doubled as a hill. She finished wanting one more set, not wanting to quit. She wrote in a dollar store notebook. Showed up, not perfect. Proud. She circled 3 45-minute windows on the calendar and texted her neighbor, "Knock if you see me, Skip." Discipline would be a village. Free accountability. Borrowed courage. Food had to obey math and money. She made a list called protein per dollar and taped it inside the cabinet. Eggs, dry beans, lentils, canned tuna, chicken thighs on sale. 0% Greek yogurt, peanut butter. Carbs were rice, oats, potatoes, whole grain pasta. Vegetables were frozen, mixes, cabbage, carrots. Fruit was whatever was cheapest that week. Calories started at body weight in pounds times 12 for fat loss. Protein sechi at 0.8 to 1.0 grams per pound of goal weight, spread over 3 to 4 meals. Plate method on a budget. Half produce, a palm of protein, a cupped hand of fiber-rich carbs, a thumb of healthy fat. Breakfast became oats with powdered milk and banana. Lunch was beans, rice, and a salsa cabbage slaw. Dinner rotated chili, baked potatoes with yogurt, or a one-pan stir-fry. Craven's got a bridge, snacky up berries. 10 dark chocolate chips, so the sweet tooth stopped steering the car. She drank 2 liters of water by noon and more by dinner, adding a pinch of salt after sweaty walks. Food stopped being a test and started being a rhythm she could afford. She learned unit prices on shelf tags like a second language and bought bulk when neighbors split bags. A thrifted slow cooker turned cheap cuts and dried beans into comfort. On weeks when protein ran short, she leaned into lentil chili and Agan rice and reminded herself, perfect is expensive. Consistent is free. Recovery wasn't a spa, it was survival. Sleep happened in a room with thin walls and sirens. She made darkness with a t-shirt, eye mask quiet with a fan app, and routine with an alarm that reminded her to go to bed before reminders screamed to wake. Morning light came free. Walking her boy to school reset her clock. Micro-recoveries hid in plain sight. 2 minutes of nasal breathing before clocking in. A 10-minute walk on break a 90-second couch stretch, while she wrote 3 identity lines on a sticky note. I train on busy days. I choose protein. I never miss twice. When storms leaked through the ceiling and sleep slipped, she shrank. The plan. Not the Galton-focused minutes beat 0 perfect ones. Her nervous system learned safety. Warm up gently, lift with control, cool down with slow exhales. Tension left her jaw and showed up in her grip where it belonged. Healing cost time, not money, and she was paying in exact change. The program fit the life, not the other way around. 3 full-body days. A. Squat focus, plus push, plus row, plus carry, plus plank. B. Hinge focus plus, vertical push plus pull, plus suitcase carry plus, and C. Single leg focus plus push-pull, superset plus hip hinge power plus side plank. To zone 2 walks each week at a pace where she could tell a full story without gasping. 1 short sprint day on a community center bike when knees allowed 8 rounds of 20 seconds hard, 100 seconds easy. Warm up. 5 minutes brisk walk. And pull-aparts. 2 easy ramp sets. Progression ladder. Week 1 at 3.8, Week 2 at 3.9, Week 3 at 3.10. Week 4, add the smallest load and restart. Reps in reserve, leave 1 to 2 in the tank. Kept ego out and progress in. She filmed 1 set weekly and fixed 1 cue at a time. Technique became a language. Tripod, foot, ribs, stacked over pelvis, elbows under the bar, lats on, bar close, hips through, clean lockout. Strength, she learned, is neat handwriting before it is heavy weight. She wrote a tiny checklist on her palm braced hard, ribs down, shoulders packed, feet routed, full range, steady tempo, clean lockout sand, read it between sets. When a rep turned messy, the set ended. Quality beat ego every time. And the bar, respectful of precision, rewarded her with progress. Setbacks arrived like bills always on time. A leak dripped over the mattress. Rain pushed sessions into the stairwell. The bus broke down, and she hustled 3 extra blocks with groceries that doubled as farmer carries. A foreman cut her hours. The pantry line wrapped the block. Stress howled at 2 a.m. She answered with smaller, repeatable wins. 10 minutes of movement, protein at every meal, bedtime routine before When knees ached, she swapped deep squats for box squats and added pauses. When shoulders grumbled, she pressed dumbbells with a neutral grip. If a day collapsed, she walked. If a week sagged, she deloaded and slept. She used library Wi-Fi to stream freeform videos and printed a tiny 4-box grid training. Protein, steps, sleep to check nightly. Momentum was a ledger of small deposits. Interest compounded in the mirror long before the scale admitted the balance. When money ran out midweek, she cooked soup and walked longer. When the power flickered, she trained by daylight and charged her phone at the library. Momentum showed up in unlikely places. The shelter manager noticed she stood taller and asked her to lead a morning stretch. A neighbor handed her a pair of used running shoes that felt like rocket fuel. Her son learned to count reps and squeeze oranges in your armpits to pack his shoulders. Clinic numbers shifted. Waist down 2 inches. Resting, heart rate lower, blood pressure inching inside the lines. The scale barely moved some weeks, but the stairs stopped winning. A church volunteer told her about a community 5K with fee waivers. She registered before doubt found its shoes and added 1 longer. Zone 2 each week. She rehearsed race day by breathing through her nose on stairwells and relaxing her face when the air got thin. She didn't chase heroics. She stacked easy, honest miles, the way she stacked rent 1 small bill at a time, on time. Race morning smelled like wet asphalt and courage. At mile 2, the old voice arrived. Walk you, always walk here. She lengthened the exhale, kept ribs stacked, and pictured carrying groceries and a sleeping child up the 2nd floor steps. A volunteer yelled, "You're stronger than you think." She didn't speed up, She steadied. She crossed the line without cramps, 20 minutes faster than last year's fantasy, then walked back down the course to clap for strangers who looked like yes. That night, she did something braver than a race. She registered for a novice deadlift-only meet with fee assistance, and a coach at the community center loaned her a belt. She practiced commands at home, start down, and chose openers she could hit on her worst day. Confidence, she learned, is conservative first attempts multiplied by 1,000 quiet reps. After the finish, she didn't hunt a medal table. She hunted water, shade, and her breath returning like a friend. Meet day smelled like chalk, coffee, and redemption. In warm-ups, she treated every rep like a rehearsal. Lats on bar close, hips through, breath held, down on command. Opener, crisp, second attempt. Honest, third. A small PR that felt like tearing up a script someone else wrote for her. 3 white lights in a borrowed singlet, rent paid that month by overtime. Pride paid forward the next morning, teaching to shelter friends the hinge. She didn't chase soreness. She chased skill. She wrote a debrief on a napkin. What worked protected windows, protein anchor, sleep routine, progression ladder, what to improve, earlier taper on bench, more upper back volume, steadier hydration. She circled the next 3 training slots and put beans to soak. Strong, it turned out, was a system, not a mood. Here's the $0 blueprint she now hands you. Write a why you can touch on. A receipt, a sticky note, a margin. Circle 3 training windows and guard them like rent. Choose a simple 3-day split that hits squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, and core. Keep 2 clean reps in reserve. Progress 1 variable weekly add. A rep, the smallest load, slower eccentrics, shorter rests, or an extra set. Layer 2 zony walks and 1 short sprint day if joints agree. Build protein per dollar plates, eggs, beans, lentils, yogurt, tuna, chicken thighs, pair with hisi oats, potatoes, frozen veg, and fruit on sale. Sleep like strength depends on it. It does. Put a 4-box grid on the fridge training. Protein, steps, sleep and. Check it nightly. When a day collapses, take the win. Still available. A walk, a plank, a protein-anchored dinner, an early bedtime. Never miss twice. Poverty is pressure, not destiny. Start with what you have: stairs, jugs, a hallway, 10-minute sandlet evidence, not excuses. Write the next chapter. Keep a resistance band in your bag for 10 pull-aparts before long calls. Practice nose, breathing walks to pace yourself and relax your face when air grows thin. Put tomorrow's shoes by the door and tonight's water on the counter. Let calendar earn more bragging rights than your feelings.